Welcome to the InSession Film Podcast for March 23rd, 2014. This is episode 57, and I'm JD Duran.
I'm Jonathan Barry.
And I am the Vern.
And this week on the show, we have Jonathan Barry back for third time, I believe, right?
Yeah,
third time back on the show, so it's great to have you here. And this is the Vern's first time on the InSession Film Podcast. Thanks for being here, man.
Hey, no problem, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. This week should be a really fun show, as we're going to be diving into Wes Anderson quite a bit, as we'll be reviewing his latest, The Grand Budapest Hotel, and going off of that, we're going to be talking about our top 3 movie mentor characters, which was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be when I started diving into it a little bit. And we're going to continue our Wes Anderson Movie Series with his first film, Bottle Rocket, which should be a really fun review. And then, as usual, we will finish off the show with films we got to see over the last week. But before we get into it, fellas, how was your guys' week?
It was good, man. It was really good. I celebrated San Pantaleonis Day, and just really briefly, it's just a day full of hedonism.
Nice.
Well, it's a perfect day because you can just show up at your friend's house. You see, basically every first day of spring, me and my friends get together for a day of hedonism, bad food, movies, and drinking. And it goes from 11 o'clock in the morning till about 3 hours the next day. And you just sit around in your favorite PJs, have your favorite brew, have your favorite type of food, and just relax.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it's just a really fun way to waste a bunch of time, pretty much.
Well,
So
exactly,
basically,
but
that's every day for me, right? No, I'm just playing.
It's a real holiday, actually, because you don't have to try to prepare a favorite meal. You don't have to try to prepare gifts everywhere. Yeah. So
Very fun. How was your week, Jonathan?
My week was pretty good. Pretty darn good. Busy, very full.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just getting ready to move locations as I'm getting ready to get married in less than 3 weeks.
Yes, yeah. You and I both in that same season, so should be pretty interesting.
Yeah. It's one of those things, like, I can't wait to be married, and at the same time, every time someone's like, oh yeah, it's like 10 days away, I'm like, no, it's not. I still need more time. Don't put that on me.
I know. I just want it to get here. Like, as much crap as we've done, I just need it to be here. I'm ready to go on vacation. That's what I'm ready for.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to, that honeymoon.
Yeah. Where are you guys going for yours, do you know?
We're going to Mexico.
Oh, have fun. We're going to Jamaica. So
Sweet.
I just got my passport last week. So
I got mine in last week, too.
How about that? Very cool. My week was...
congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it. This week was more laid back than usual, which is nice. And Brandy worked a lot this week. And when that happens, I'm usually just here chilling and watching movies and getting a lot of work done. So it was pretty good and just relaxed. And after last weekend, I think that's exactly what I needed. So I watched a lot of movies. I was in the theaters 3 or 4 different times this weekend. So just had more time to just chill and go see some films for sure, which we'll get into. Okay, well, I think we got a good show in store, so let's get into it.
And here we go.
You're listening to the InSession Film Podcast. This is episode 57. Jonathan, Vern, keep your hands off my lobby boy.
Who are you?
I'm Zero, sir. The new lobby boy.
Zero, you say?
Yes, sir.
Well, I've never heard of you, never laid eyes on you. Who hired you?
Mr. Mosher, sir.
Mr. Mosher?
Yes, Monsieur Gustave.
Am I to understand you've surreptitiously hired this young man in the position of a lobby boy?
He's been engaged for a trial period, pending your approval, of course.
Perhaps, yes. Thank you, Mr. Mosher.
You're most welcome, Monsieur Gustave.
You're now going to be officially interviewed.
Should I go and light the candle first, sir?
What?
The
No.
candle?
Experience.
Hotel Kinski, kitchen boy, 6 months. Hotel Berlitz, mop and broom boy, 3 months. Before that, I was a skillet scrubber.
Experience, 0.
Thank you again, Mr. Gustav.
Straighten that cap, Anatole. The pleasure's mine, Herr Schneider.
The stress busters.
These are not
I
acceptable.
fully agree.
Education.
I studied reading and spelling. I started my primary school. I almost finished.
Education, 0.
Now it's exploded.
Good morning, Cicero. Call the goddamn plumber.
This afternoon, Monsieur Gustave.
Will that fail, Frau Liebling?
What on earth is?
Not now. Family.
0.
All right, the Grand Budapest Hotel is directed by the one and only Wes Anderson and stars Ralph Fiennes, Tony Revolori, Murray Abraham, Jude Law, and a whole bunch of other people that I'm sure we will get into. So Wes Anderson, back at it again, same style that he is pretty known for. What did you guys think about the Grand Budapest Hotel?
I really liked this movie, and at the same time, I didn't like it. I'm not going to say that I hated this movie. I do like the style of it. I like the style of all Wes Anderson movies. I like the way that he can create these total wonderful environments and put into these environments these really wonderful offbeat characters. My only issue with the Grand Budapest Hotel, and we'll get into this later though, is that it has way too many off-the-wall characters to have you focus on just one. I know the main story is about the concierge, Gustav H., played by Ray Fiennes, and he's really good in this, but it also has other great characters. It felt like this movie would have been a good pilot for a TV series.
Interesting. What do you think, Jonathan?
Well, I loved it. I mean, one,
I figured you probably
it's hard for me not to like anything Wes Anderson, but I think especially following Moonrise Kingdom with this, where Moonrise Kingdom was this Wes Anderson tale with kids, and it had that playful heart. Sure. Still had his little dark offbeat comedy, but then this one took me by surprise with the violence.
Yeah,
like I
was that same way. Yeah,
loved it. Like I'm not even lying. Like every time someone would get stabbed to death or something graphic would happen, I would just die laughing in the theater. I was like the loudest person laughing.
Interesting.
And it just caught me off guard because I mean I'm a huge Wes Anderson film and I've never seen that violence quite to that extent in his films. So that was one of the things I loved the most about it.
Yeah, that was one thing that I definitely noticed too that I wrote down in my notes as something that seemed pretty interesting. It was like the first thing I tweeted was like, I didn't expect to see that in a Wes Anderson film. I think one of the big things I noticed right off the bat, obviously, kind of like what Vern was saying, is you're going to notice his style right away and his aesthetic and those visual backdrops that he likes to use. Of course, you have that creative camera work that he has and some of those shots we've seen over and over from Wes Anderson. What I also thought was pretty interesting here is the framing of the story was a story within a story within a story, essentially, where it kind of starts, I guess, in modern day, where a girl has the book, The Grand Budapest Hotel. Then we go to 1985, where it's the author who is essentially talking into the camera about his book. Then we go to a younger author in 1968, where Jude Law is essentially finding the inspiration for the book and hearing the story of the Grand Budapest Hotel, where we finally get back to 1932, where most of the story takes place.
Right.
And also on top of that, I don't know if you guys noticed this or not, but he used different aspect ratios for each one of those segments. So it changed every time. And I thought that was kind of a fascinating touch, and where most of it takes place back in 1932, you kind of get that boxy aspect ratio feel that I thought was kind of an interesting touch. Is that something that you guys noticed or enjoyed? I thought that was kind of a fascinating thing he did.
I thought that was really kind of cool too, because they use the 1:3:3 aspect ratio for scenes in the 30s because that's how most movies were formatted and framed in that time. And then for like scenes in the 60s, they used more like widescreen 2:3:5 aspect ratio because that was really kind of big, the whole CinemaScope thing being used for scenes in the 60s. Going back just a little bit though, all right, the scene where the girl is reading the book, that part kind of didn't throw me off so much. It could have been just any character in there. But is she actually at like a shrine to the hotel with all the keys there? Is that why she's there?
I don't know.
That part of the story didn't really. That part kind of confused me.
I'm not sure if it played into the story a whole lot. I know there was that statue there. I'm not sure if that played into anything. I think for me the most important thing there was that she was just holding the book, which is pretty much what the whole story is framed off of. Okay. So, I mean, and I think that's really the most important thing for that specific moment. I don't know, Jonathan, if you have anything else to add to that, but
I do not. That is a good question. I mean, I would think that was almost like like I thought at first that
For the entire version of our podcast, be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes or on Stitcher, or check us out online at InSessionFilm.com.